Aloha, my name is Neil Nakamoto. I'm part of Maui County's Department of Transportation, and I get to lead our Park Maui team. We're excited to be with all of you today and to share updates of what's happening in Wailuku Town with Park Maui. And I wanted to give a chance to introduce part of the team members that we have. And so if we could start maybe with Ignacio and then go to Diamond and then Dixon.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ignacio, and I am the transportation planner with Maui DOT.
And then Mai, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Mai with Diamond Parking.
And then Chisa, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Chisa with Dixon Resources Unlimited.
And my name is Julie Dixon with Dixon Resources Unlimited. We're the parking consultant who's been working with the county for about almost the last 8 years. Neil, back to you.
Yeah, and so we're basically going to be having about a 30-minute presentation of what's happening in Wailuku, and then we're going to open it up for a Q&A with everyone, and then we'll end promptly by 6 o'clock. And for those friends that weren't able to make it, as Julia mentioned, we're going to have the recording posted on the website. Okay, Julie, back to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Neil. And thank you everyone for joining us here today. I see a lot of familiar names, and we're looking forward to sharing this update with all of you. As Neil mentioned, we have a brief presentation to give everybody the update on the current status of parking in Wailuku. And we'll also talk about some of the things to come. And we are also monitoring the chat. My colleagues, Chisa and of course Neil, are going to be keeping an eye if there's any questions as we're going through. I'll just ask that we'll have interactive questions once the presentation is done. But also, for those of you who are listening in, we are going to ask a couple of polling questions as we get through the presentation. And so you'll have an opportunity on your screen to be able to respond to some of the informational polls that we have. And you might notice in the chat that my colleague Chisa has shared not only the Park Maui website, so you can get all the information about the parking management plan in Maui on that location. And we've also included our project email address so that you'll all also have access to that information as well. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to share my screen and run through a quick presentation for everybody. For many of you, this will really just be a refresher for where we last left off with the Park Maui program. Many of you might recall that we were just about to launch the Park Maui Management Program right after the fires had happened. And so now here we are a couple of years later, and we're basically gearing up. We have the garage in Wailuku, and that is really one of the pinnacles of really the core of this management program. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this presentation and start off with the first poll. And I'm going to ask Chisa if she'll go ahead and run that poll. And the question is, are you familiar with Park Maui? And the request is to answer yes or no. We'll give it here a moment to give everybody a chance to respond. And I'm seeing the numbers climbing, so I appreciate that. We've got 21 to 28 people responding. I'm going to give it another couple of seconds for anybody else there who's going to respond. And I am going to go ahead and end the poll and share the results. And what you can hopefully all see is that right now, for all of you that are in attendance tonight, 64% of you are familiar with Park Maui. And so for those of you who are not, no worries, because this is what we're here tonight to share about, is to not only give everybody that's aware of the program a bit of an update as to where we are and the direction that we're heading in, but also to help inform those of you who are not familiar with the program to give you a little bit of background information. So I'll start with this. What you can see right there in the center of the screen is the logo and icon affiliated with Park Maui. And Park Maui is basically the County of Maui's parking management program. We're looking forward to utilizing data management solutions to drive parking management decisions as it relates to the beach parks, the business districts, and on street throughout the island's most heavily utilized areas. So it's important to recognize the program objectives. And one of the things that we want to make sure is that we are leaving a positive impression upon our residents and also on our visitors, on our business owners, and on our employees that work in the area. Because one of the things I'm sure you can all appreciate is that parking is often the first and last experience that you have when you are going to a destination. We definitely want to make sure that the program is community oriented. And I think it's important to recognize, especially for those of you who have followed the program for several years, is to recognize the solution in Wailuku is actually designed a little bit different than maybe something we might do in Paia or at the time what we might have done in Lahaina. And it's very important too, as we design this program, is to ensure that it's sustainable. This is not intended to be a revenue generating program. In fact, the opportunity is to really reinvest any monies in the program itself to be sure that the goal is to have sustainable operations. And you'll see as we talk about some of the benefits that are associated with the program, it's really important that we try to obviously offset any of those expenses, and the goal is sustainability. It's also important that the program is designed to be adaptable. We want to be sure that we utilize data to drive the decisions so that we can make adjustments over time. One of the things that's important when we talk about parking management is that there are no secrets in parking management. We want everyone to know what we're doing. We want everyone to know what the rules are because our goal is compliance and we want everybody to follow the rules. And that's something that's important when we talk about adaptability, is that we don't want to have any of those kind of, secret surprises. We want everybody to know what's going on. So since we have last met when we talked to the community about Park Maui, we've actually had several initiatives that have basically transpired, which included a couple of updates to the Maui County Code. And this is important because when we talk about parking management, it's important to ensure that we have consistent compliance in our parking program. And so in October of 2022, the Parking Ambassador program was authorized and approved through the county code. And when you all met Mai a few moments ago from Diamond, Diamond is the parking management operator for the county of Maui. They responded through a competitive procurement a few years ago. And for any of you who have visited the parking garage, you've actually come across the Diamond staff. And that's actually your first introduction to our parking ambassadors that will be supporting the Wailuku community moving forward. Also important back in 2022 was the establishment of the Parking Revenue Fund. This is important when we talk about the management of parking moving forward. And when I talk about the sustainability opportunities, this was something that when we were launching the program as originally intended, our hope was, as we were going to launch in Lahaina, was that the revenues generated were actually going to be able to be reinvested into the communities in which they were generated. So that parking revenue fund was an important opportunity to not only manage the costs, but also any revenues that were generated. All of you hopefully are familiar and have actually experienced the Wailuku Garage. The garage opened in January 2024. Slight delay, obviously, with the crisis that we experienced in Maui, but the garage is now open and it's doing quite well. And we'll talk quite a bit about employee parking in a moment. And then from a stakeholder engagement perspective, it was a really critical part of the launch of this program that between 2021 and 2023, we went out into the community, we held meetings, we attended events, and we talked about Park Maui with pretty much anyone that would listen to us. And we basically did outreach in Lahaina, Wailuku, and the South Maui beaches and for the beaches and parks. And we've also continued to collect data in Wailuku. This is important as well because many of you that work and live in Wailuku, you might recall that originally when the garage was scheduled to open, the intention originally was that we were going to launch with paid parking on street. But you as a community came back with very important feedback that acknowledged that the data that we had at the time was not representative of what was going to happen on the streets once the garage opened. So the feedback from the community truly affected how we opened the garage because we opened the garage with the existing time limits. What we have done since that time is continue to collect data on street and in the garage and in the parking lots to demonstrate what the utilization and occupancy has been over the past roughly year and a half. And that's something that we'll talk about as we talk about how to move the program forward. We've also been finalizing the development of the Park Maui mobile application. This is something that really is intended to be the linchpin of the operation moving forward, in the intent of allowing you as residents and locals to be able to manage your parking experience and to receive the benefits that we'll talk about here today, and also for any of our guests or visitors to be able to initiate their parking sessions. As I mentioned, Diamond Parking Services, Mai is representing here today, has been designated by Maui PD, Maui Police Department, to serve as the designated parking ambassadors, and they will have the authority to be able to enforce the rules as posted. So it's important as we talk about the pilot program in Wailuku, and hopefully many of you are already participating in this. But when the garage opened, we actually launched the employee parking program. And many of you have already begun to participate in that. And there is a fee associated with it, but it is where you can provide that parking for those of you who work in the Wailuku community. And as we talk about the Wailuku community, it's important to recognize that it's not just about employee parking permits, but there's also several residential areas that have designations to qualify for neighborhood parking permits, where you'll be able to park in the garage. And we have been working on improving the wayfinding and parking guidance to help direct people to the parking garage. And I'll have some examples of some of the signs that are coming. And we are just about to launch the Parking Ambassador Program. It's important to recognize that it's about continuity and consistency, because what we want to do is ensure that we have parking spaces available to our shoppers and consumers that want to come into Wailuku and spend their time and monies in our stores and restaurants. And so it is intended, when we launch this program, that while MPD has been enforcing those rules, we are anticipating a significant warning opportunity where we're looking forward to helping educate the public, that we look forward to having parking ambassadors on the street consistently for the posted hours of operation. And we are also looking forward to expanding the time limited parking into the EL Theater parking lot, so as to provide more opportunities for our shoppers and guests to be able to park when they visit Wailuku. So we wanted to ask you one more poll, so please get ready for the poll to come up. And we're going to ask you is, are you using the Wailuku Garage at this time? So if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to let us know yes or no, if you're using the Wailuku Garage. And I'll let the time build. So far, we've got about 80% of the respondents. I'll give it another couple seconds here to give everybody a chance, especially any of you who are maybe participating by phone. I know it can be a lot to juggle those devices. So we're right at 85% of the respondents. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, and I'm going to share the results. And what I'm seeing here is, for the respondents that we have here tonight, we've got 52% of you have indicated that yes, you are using the Wailuku Garage at this point. So that is fantastic. And for those of you who are not, I highly encourage, when you're in the area, is to utilize the garage, because we're going to talk a little bit about the benefit that you have as a resident to be able to park. And here are those benefits. So if you are a resident, and a resident is defined as anyone with a valid Hawaii driver's license. For those of you who have been on this parking journey with us over the last several years, you might recall that originally the intention was going to be Maui zip codes. And it was the mayor that got the voice out there and let us know that it's actually any valid Hawaii driver's license. And when you currently visit the garage, you receive your first 2 hours of parking for free per day. If you stay beyond those 2 hours, the rate is simply $1 an hour. And there is equipment in the garage to allow you to complete those transactions and payments. And we're excited that very soon you will be able to use the mobile application so that you will be able to pre-register your account, and you'll actually have the opportunity to just scan your phone in the future, and we'll have more information when that launches. But if you are an employee in the area, you qualify to have a parking permit that allows you to park in the garage for $30 per month. And we do have a low income parking permit option, and that is available to those who qualify for $10 a month. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have a neighborhood parking permit program that is available to qualifying residents for $55 per month. And again, same as the other permit, we have a low income neighborhood parking permit option available for $15 per month. This is an important highlight is in regards to the Park Maui program. This was important that the feedback that we received from all of you as residents to ensure that we had a benefit to our Hawaii residents. And this is something that you're seeing the first aspect of that in the Wailuku Garage. And I mentioned the increased signage. What you'll see here on the bottom of the screen are some of the coming soon signs. Our hope is to utilize these on the approaches to the garage entrances in order to make it easier for people to help locate the garage location, and to really kind of, again, help really validate this is a long-term parking location for people that want to come and spend their time and monies in the Wailuku area. And that is definitely a convenience factor. And again, we really do want to encourage those that are coming to spend time in Wailuku, especially for the long term, to park in the garage so that we can retain those shorter time limited spaces for our shoppers and our guests to be able to patronize our restaurants and our businesses. So I mentioned that many of you who have utilized the garage have already had an experience likely with our parking ambassadors. I can tell you every time I'm in the parking garage, they actually come and seek me out practically before I even get out of my car to ask me if I need help with directions or any information about where I'm going, anything about the garage operations. And that's important because one of the things that, if you've heard me talk about parking in the past, it's really about customer service and the aloha spirit. And it's something that, in my experience, those that are working in the garage have really been representative of that. And our plan is for that to be replicated as they move on street to help manage the parking, the posted parking regulations and time limits, because it's really important about that continuity aspect and the coverage, because we want to ensure that our customers have parking whenever they come into Wailuku so that they can pop into a shop or pop into a restaurant for ease and convenience. And so one of the things as we move forward with the launch of the Parking Ambassador program and the expanded services of compliance, you'll see that they'll actually have technology that allows them to be able to issue warning notices to confirm if a vehicle's had a citation before. And that citation management system will also be regulated utilizing mobile license plate recognition. This is how they'll also be able to monitor vehicles that are parking beyond the posted time limits. And it's also how we'll continue to collect data to demonstrate what the utilization rates are in Wailuku. Now, I mentioned utilization rates, and I just wanted to highlight this for those of you who are new to the Park Maui program. As we mentioned, data is really intended to be the driver for how we make parking management decisions moving forward. And as I mentioned, the Wailuku business community in particular were the ones that said, hey, we can't start with paid parking. And so that's why you see the time limits that we have. So what we end up doing is we utilize occupancy to help determine and dictate if there needs to be future changes. I say this because it's important that we as community members, as employees that work in Wailuku, why it's important that we park in the garage and our long-term parking locations and not try to juggle the time limits, because we want to again ensure that we can retain those time limits. Because once we hit the threshold of 85% occupancy, that's basically the indicator that we're near or at capacity. We're basically full on street. And when the county needs to start making parking management changes. And so right now, there is no intention to have paid parking on street. This will be determined and dictated by occupancy. And so we're grateful to have all of you in attendance here today so that everyone can understand the importance of basically following and complying with the posted time limits. And when you're coming to stay for the longer term, is to be sure that you're parking in the garage because our goal is compliance. Again, to be transparent, we want people to follow the rules. It's important that we improve the parking experience. And I think it's important to recognize when I tell you this is not a revenue motivated program, the county doesn't even retain the monies associated with the parking citations that are issued. So this is why when we talk about this customer service model, it really is the intent to get people to follow the signage. And what you see here on the right side of your screen is the current design in Wailuku, which is 2 hours on street between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., with the exception of Sundays and county holidays. So the intention is to proceed with this model, and we are looking forward to expanding the time limits on Vineyard between Market and Central. We have some new businesses in that area, and we're finding that we have folks parking for the long term in those locations. So we're looking to improve that customer access in that area. And we're also looking forward to the expansion of the time limits into the EL Theater lot so that, again, we have more customer parking. With the exception of behind the theater, many of you are familiar with the 15 reserved parking spaces. Those will be retained per a separate agreement with those entities. But as we talk about how to manage parking moving forward, the goal, again, is compliance and for folks to follow the time limits. And when you're looking forward to coming and staying for the longer term, is to park in the garage. So what's coming next? We've got some ordinance changes that are coming to County Council for review and approval. And some of these basically have to do with the South Maui beaches. Many of you are familiar with the intention of being able to roll out Park Maui at the Kamaole 1, 2, and 3 beaches. And so we have some additional work that we have to do in our ordinances to ready ourselves for the launch of that program. I mentioned the parking ambassadors. We're looking forward to initiating that program right after the 1st of July. But I will say to you, there will be no surprises. There will be a press release, and you always can go to the parkmaui.com website where you can get up-to-date information about the program. We also are on social media, so we will try to get that information out through every means because we want everyone to know when this program is turning on. We also are readying ourselves with the mobile app, as I mentioned. We're really looking forward to the convenience of that app and when that launches so that you'll not only be able to get up-to-date information in your own handheld devices, but you'll also be able to self-manage your parking experiences if and when the program expands to other locations, which is the next bullet, which is the implementation at pilot sites. We're looking forward to some additional discussions with the South Maui beaches, and more information will come on that soon. And continuing to collect data and evaluating the impacts of occupancy as we launch the program moving forward. Continued stakeholder engagement. It's really critical that we continue to hear feedback from all of you. We actually get emails daily from people that go onto the Park Maui website and ask questions or want to have additional information. So please don't hesitate to utilize those as resources. As I mentioned, we want to be fully transparent. We want everyone to know what we're doing because we want everyone to know what the rules are, and we are really looking to seek compliance. And I really want to highlight the importance of stakeholder engagement. Again, many of you that work in Wailuku are familiar with the fact that it was your voices that actually impacted how the on-street program launched when the garage opened. So I just really want to reinforce that your voice does matter and your feedback really does have an impact. And as we talk about the programs moving forward, we've heard lots of requests of different beach locations that folks are looking forward to this service expanding on. And for those of you who haven't heard us talk about this program, it's important to recognize that one of the proposed benefits is that folks with Hawaii driver's license will park at the beach locations for free. The only thing that you'll have to do is initiate a parking session, but we'll actually have more information about that at our upcoming meetings in July. You'll see here on the right side of the screen that we're intending to have an in-person meeting at the Kihei Community Center on July 24th, and the address is listed there. And we are also looking forward to having an information booth at Kihei Fourth Fridays. Maybe you all saw us when we were there at past events, but we're looking forward to being there on Friday, July 25th, to talk a little bit more about the expansion of Park Maui to the beaches. And on the left side of the screen, you are obviously welcome anytime to go to the parkmaui.com website. You can also scan that QR code, and that will share the link associated with these two upcoming events. We'll also have this information on social media, and again, it's also shared on the website. Before I close here today and I look over to my colleagues to see if anything has come up in the chat, or also to give everybody a chance to ask any questions, I just really want to reinforce, if you haven't been on the parkmaui.com website, I highly encourage that you check it out. We try to keep it as up to date as possible. And if you haven't registered, please do register your email address. We send updates about the program to the emails that we've received. You have the opportunity when you register to register specifically for the type of information that you want. For example, when if you were an employee in Wailuku, if you were a resident in Wailuku, you can register for one of those categories so that you can be sure to get program updates associated with that category. If you're interested in beach parking, there is an option there for you to register as well. And what you see here on the bottom of the screen, for those of you who are on social media, we have a Facebook page and we also have an Instagram account as well, Park Maui Hawaii. And you can follow us for any updates and any information. As I can't reiterate enough, is again, full transparency. We want everyone to know what we're doing because we want everybody to follow the rules to ensure that we have access to our shops and our restaurants. And we're very much looking forward to hearing your feedback here today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen here for a moment. And Chisa, I'm going to look to you and ask if we have any comments in the chat or anything that needs to be addressed before we jump into any Q&A.
Yes, I just received a message from Megan. She is asking, where or how is the best way to provide feedback?
So great question, Megan. One of the things I've asked Chisa to do, and you see it there in the chat, there's an email address, info@parkmaui.com. That is absolutely a resource that's available to you. There's also an opportunity on the website, www.parkmaui.com, where you can also provide commentary on that location as well. And then we're obviously available here tonight to also receive feedback, and you're also welcome to type anything into the chat as well. So anything else in the chat, Chisa?
Not so far. Oh, we have Jackie raising her hand.
I just saw the raise of hand. So Jackie, right before I call you, I just want to give a couple of instructions because this will help anyone that's interested in providing feedback. For those of you who haven't utilized Zoom before, on the bottom of your screen, you should see a React button, and you have the opportunity to raise your hand. And what will happen is I will call out your name and basically ask you to unmute yourself. And so if you'll unmute yourself, then you'll have the opportunity to be able to engage. And I will also share with anyone that can't figure out how that react button works to get to the hand raise. You can always turn your camera on and literally go like this, and I will see you, and I will also ask you to unmute as well. So with that, Jackie, I think you were first. So if you wouldn't mind to unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. I actually just wanted to say I don't know if I'm crazy or what, but I don't have anything in my chat. Um, and then just a note on the instruction that you had given. Sometimes one of the struggles that people have is there's no buttons. If you just tap the screen, the buttons will appear. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Jackie. I also can't see anything in the chat. So when Shisa, you said that, I can't see anything in the chat either. So I don't know if there's a setting, and Shisa, you're the only one that can see it.
I
So,
believe all hosts can see the messages, but I think only the host can see messages. So,
okay.
yeah.
I cannot see them, Chisa, but in the meantime, we'll look to you to let us know that anything's there. But Savannah, I see that you have your hand up. Can you go ahead and unmute yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I just had a quick question about the ambassador program.
Sure.
I know that in Maui County, there's been a big concern with accessible parking abuse, and I'm wondering if the ambassadors are also going to be focusing on that as well, because I think that that's a really big concern.
And when you say accessible parking, meaning that for the disabled spaces to make
Yes,
sure that they're compliant? Yes. So
exactly.
that
Making sure that they're not being abused, and also the accessible aisles are also not being abused as well.
it will be definitely something that we'll note today. And here's the great thing I should also reinforce, Savannah. So thank you for that question. Is MPD is not going anywhere either. I think it's important for folks to recognize just because you see MPD in town doesn't mean they won't be enforcing. It's just the reality that we have an additional pair or a couple of pairs of hands to help reinforce the policies. So I don't want anybody to think just because MPD is driving by, it doesn't mean that they're not writing tickets. I just want everyone to understand that we just have a higher presence with some additional ambassadors. And what we're trying to do is free up MPD to be able to go deal with other priorities, other public safety issues as well. But definitely on the accessibility, and we'll definitely take note of that as well. And thanks for the hand clap, Megan. I believe it's Cielo. Cielo, can you go ahead and unmute yourself?
Okay. My question is, one of my employees has a pickup truck and it can't go to the second or third floor because of the ceiling requirements. And she asked, does that mean she's only allowed to park on the first floor, which she's not because she's an employee? We were told that all employees will park from the second, third, and fourth floor. So she's asking, how does that factor in because she can't park on the higher levels?
Great question, Cielo. And I know that we have some big trucks in Maui. What I'm going to ask Mai to do is to share the Diamond email address so that you can contact Diamond directly to be able to have your employee coordinate with Diamond on what options there are available. And to be able, the other thing that she can also do is she can go in the garage and connect with any of the parking ambassadors, and they'll help get her situated and what the options are. So understandable with the height restrictions, what those are. But if you wouldn't mind, we'll coordinate that follow-up so that that way you can work directly with Diamond on what the best options are for those larger profile vehicles.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming today. We appreciate it. I see Dan McKenna. Dan, if you could go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Um, One thing in the bottom of the chat on the right, it says chat disabled. So I don't know if that's something you're controlling or but
We'll
maybe
check
there
on
are.
that. We'll check on that for sure. I do see that here's my question to Dan or others. Mai just posted her email address,
Yes.
parkmaui@diamondparking.com. So if we can see that, that's a good sign. So hopefully that will be addressed, and we will be sure for our next meeting that whatever this chat issue is, we'll definitely overcome it. So my apologies, but I do want to make sure that everybody also has the email addresses so they can also follow up with us. Dan, was there any
Yeah.
other
Yeah,
comments?
my other question was I haven't been in the garage in a long time, since it was first opened, I think. And it was free parking at that point. Uh, is the payment system obvious?
You know what? I believe that it is. There's equipment on each of the islands when you pull in and out of the garage. And then there's basically a kiosk, basically at the two main entrances to the garage, so that when you can see the pay here. But if there's ever a doubt when you're in the garage, you saw that bright orange vest and the parking ambassadors, you can simply flag one of them down and they'd be happy to walk you through any of the equipment. I will tell you that they're typically in lane as you're leaving the garage, so that they've been there to really help everyone as they're navigating in and out of the garage. And we're very much anticipating that as we launch any of the new features with the program, when we launch the mobile app, our parking ambassadors will be highly present to help anyone that needs any orientation with any of the new options or new service features as well.
Okay, thank you. And the payment can be by credit card?
It can be by credit card. In fact, it's encouraged to be by credit card, and that's the best option that we have. We are trying to be cash free on the program. It also helps mitigate issues of vandalism on parking equipment as well. So, but definitely the parking ambassadors are there to support and serve you. So please do seek them out.
Okay, thank you very much. And thanks for holding the session.
Yes, of course. You'll see us more often too. Thank you, Dan. So, Jackie, if you wouldn't mind to unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to touch on Savannah's point. I appreciate that MPD will still be enforcing, but I do want to point out that as advocates for individuals with disabilities, we pretty consistently hear that that doesn't happen. There's no, especially on the accessible parking, it's very much, there are folks that are like, oh, it's only going to be a second, right? Like that's just and so that really does do harm to people. And so that was one of the biggest things that we wanted to highlight. So I just wanted to kind of jump back on her point. I appreciate it.
No problem. And Jackie, I think the one thing that you'll appreciate more than anything is the continuity of the presence of the parking ambassadors as we move on street. I think that's really going to be the game changer for us. MPD has limited resources and they have prioritization of, calls for response. So we're really looking forward to that presence again from an education standpoint, but also from a compliance standpoint. So appreciate your thoughts and your feedback there, and we'll look forward to helping mitigate those issues. So, Megan, if you could unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. I have two questions.
Sure.
My first question is with the parking ambassadors moving onto the streets. Are they going to be issuing citations, or like what are they going to be doing out there on the street?
Great question. Do you want to do me answer that one, or do you want to ask both first? What would be your preference?
Go ahead, shoot for that one.
So as they move on street, I'm very glad you asked that because if I wasn't clear about it, they will be able to issue parking citations. But the intention is to come on with a warning and outreach campaign. But I do want to highlight, once you've received a warning notice, that's your education and outreach. And it's not a guarantee that you're going to get a warning notice. I do want to reinforce that to everybody. It's not a guaranteed get out of jail free card by any means. And if you're parked in a disabled parking space, I am sorry, but it also sounds like I have support here. You're getting a ticket. There is no reason why anybody should be in violation of those accessible spaces. But the intention is that as we launch this program, because There's people that aren't here tonight, and because we're looking forward to having that consistent coverage of maybe hours that we haven't necessarily had MPD officers out there, we want to make sure that we're focused on no surprises and making sure that people understand that we're looking forward to consistently enforcing the rules. So that's why we're optimistic that there will be a heavy warning campaign, but there will be citations and citations will come. It's just not the intent. The intent is to get people to park where they're supposed to park and for how long they're supposed to park. So that's really the goal of the program. And as you can see, when I say it's not intended about revenue, the county does not receive monies from the paid citations. So it's another reason why when we talk about compliance, it's a really big part of this program. And again, anybody who's come across the parking ambassadors in the garage, I hopefully have had the same experience I have had, which is again a very customer forward, customer service oriented approach.
Thank you. That was a very clear answer.
Great. And you had a second question?
Yep. This is totally different. I'm curious, who would I talk to about the charging stations in the parking garage, and just to advocate for there to be more than the 1-2 plugs that are available currently?
Great question, Megan. I will tell you this. If you wouldn't mind, if you want to go onto the Park Maui, I won't ask you to post your email address in the chat, but if you go onto the Park Maui website and basically fill out the information form and say, I want more intel about what's happening with the electric vehicle charging stations, I can tell you that there is a bigger county initiative as it relates to electric vehicle charging. I will say, coming soon. I know that's not a great answer, but I do know that the county has several initiatives underway, and I'm anticipating that you will see more infrastructure. I think just with all of the prioritization of some of the other items that are obviously happening on island, that it maybe isn't at the very tippy top of the list. But I can assure you of the fact that electric vehicle charging is one of the initiatives and coming soon. And if you want to put your contact information on the parkmaui.com website and say electric vehicle charging, I need more info, we'll be sure that your contact information gets handed to the right point of contact so we can get more information for you.
That's great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great, no problem. Thanks for coming tonight. And I believe, Jan, you were next. If you wouldn't mind to unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening. You guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. It still shows I'm muted. I just wanted to follow up on one of the previous comments about our employee parking. As far as my employee, his truck is too high as well. He did talk to the parking ambassadors, and we love them all. Believe me, they're all nice people. But they mentioned that we had to talk to the county of Maui to change the, I guess, I don't know what it's called, the mandate or whatever that county of Maui puts forward. So it's not anything they could control. And he's been parking on the first floor because he can't reach any other floor. And we've had to cover his fees every day.
Got it.
So I'm just not sure if there's any options or if we have to write a letter to the county of
So,
Maui.
Jan, if you can do me this one request, and the contact email is in the chat, it's parkmaui@diamondparking.com. If
Okay.
when you jot that down, and if you send a note, Mai, who is here today, is the project manager for this project, and I am confident that Mai will be in contact with you. And I can already see by Neil's nodding head that hearing this now, obviously from more than one of you, we'll definitely make sure that Diamond is equipped to be able to address the oversized vehicles. First of all, we appreciate that they're parking in the garage, so we'll definitely figure this one out, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for coming today. We appreciate it. And I think, Savannah, you were next, so if you could unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I haven't attended one of these Park Maui webinars before, So I apologize if it's a repeat of information. But I was just wondering before I dive deeper into the ambassador program and recommending it to folks who might be interested, I'm just curious about what the protections are for the ambassadors. I just like sometimes I'm worried about like if there's like an uncle in a lifted Yoda that comes up and like they're mad about it, you know. I feel like people get a little bit funky when you touch their car. So I'm just curious what the protections are.
Well, Savannah, thank you for asking that question
Yeah.
because uh, employee safety it is the number one. Personal safety is a concern. I can tell you that not only does the Diamond team go through extensive training on their own, they're actually working very closely with MPD as well on training. And one of the things that the officers, forgive me, ambassadors are trained to do is to know when to walk away. And I think it's important for all of us to recognize those same people who have been so helpful and responsive to you in the garage. The intention is to carry that same spirit on street. And so we're very much looking forward to all of us looking out for them because they really are intended to be out there to help ensure people have a place to park so they can come in and shop and spend their money and dine in Wailuku. And so I will assure you of the fact that their safety is of top concern. And it's something that MPD has also really expressed very strongly. And so it is definitely out there and very clear. Even in the garage, we have to be cognizant and aware as well. So it's not just on street, it's really everywhere. And I think we're really happy to have you ask that question just to know that that awareness is out there. So I can assure you of the fact that it is of concern. And I just ask that, you know, there are another pair of eyes and ears in our community, and they are also Maui residents. And so again, we just hope that everybody, you know, can treat them with the same level of respect that they do and give to you as well. So I do appreciate that question. Frontline and safety is a real big priority for me. So I really am grateful for that. So thank you. Cielo, I see you there. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. I had two more questions.
Sure.
Um, the second question I wanted to ask that I forgot to ask previously is that the fourth floor is open. Is there any plans of Maui putting solar panels just like the one in Costco so that they can harness the energy that the sun, it's very hot on the fourth, and hardly anybody parks there. So is there any plans of the county of Maui putting that in
It's a great
someday?
question, Cielo. The garage was designed to have those solar panels on the top. You maybe even can see some of the poles and kind of some of the settings. The reality is the garage was an expensive endeavor. I'll say it that way. And
Lot of
so,
money.
yes, I think that's the best place to put it. But I will say this, it's not an impossible request. And I know that I hope that we can put a solar up there on top of the garage, but I would say it's a longer term strategy. And the garage is designed to be able to equip the solar panels. We just don't have the funds for those. But the opportunity is there in the future. And so I really appreciate you asking that question because our hope is that we will get there someday.
Yeah, it will also help with the fund. I mean, defer the electric bill, the lighting, and the electricity that powers all those, things in the
You're right on
right?
track. And I always park under the panels at Costco as well. So
And my last question is, with regards to the safety, not only of the employees, but I work in the building next to the parking lot, and there are times that I have to work late. There is ambassadors in the parking lot, but the surrounding outside of the parking lot is not. Um, where I work, well, Market Street and the surrounding parking area, there's a lot of homeless people, and
mhm,
sometimes they're mentally challenged.
sure.
So that is something I'm concerned, not only for the employees, but for people who park there too. Like one of my coworkers mentioned to me the other day, she comes to work at 6:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's relatively still dark. And there was a guy parked close to the parking structure and was watching her. And so she got kind of paranoid because it's kind of dark, and she didn't go into the elevator because she might get trapped. And so she walked the
The ramp.
stairs
Mm-hmm.
to the second floor where her car was gonna be parked. Is there something the county is planning to do about relocating those homeless people?
So I will just highlight a couple of things. There's the Clean and Safe program. I would just want to help reiterate that in terms of that visibility as well, kind of another extension of another set of eyes and ears. I want to reinforce, obviously, if someone is concerned about any individual or you're concerned about your personal safety, please obviously use your instincts, but also do not hesitate to call for emergency assistance if you need that. It's something that I always recommend that even if you need to have the non-emergency phone number in your phone programmed so that you can call for that. I will make note of this and I will ask if the county, if there's any other specialized programs that are being addressed, but I will also
Yeah,
see, yeah, but I think
thank
that,
you.
yeah, what you're describing, like I said, it sounds like she responded with her instincts, which is what we all need to do. But I would also encourage anytime you see something, is say something. And I
And
think,
the only reason I'm mentioning it is a couple of months ago, there was an incident that happened on Market Street, and the individual ran through the parking lot,
yeah,
the parking garage, and they couldn't find him after that because he went right through the parking garage, and we don't know where he went.
yeah.
But that was an incident that happened on Market Street,
Well,
and they ran through
the
that.
good news is when you see those parking ambassador vests, like I said, they're another pair of eyes and ears.
Yes, we
And
did. And
yeah,
they didn't see anything, or they
yeah,
didn't see the individuals because they're busy, with their duties in the parking.
sure.
But
No, but we'll
yeah,
definitely share that feedback also with Maui PD as well. But
okay.
it does sound like she handled herself very well. And again, we should always operate off of our instincts. And again, in today's world, you see something, you say something. I think
Yeah,
that we all need to be able to be cognizant of that for sure. So
okay.
thank you,
Thank you.
Cielo, for that. No problem. Thank you so much. And Luo, I want to say Luana. Luana, did I say it correctly? If you can unmute yourself.
Yes, yes, you did.
So,
Awesome.
yes, go ahead.
I'm Luana. I am the executive director for Maui on Stage. Maui on Stage has been here at the historic EL Theater since 1984. And today I would like to know, when will the 2-hour parking time limit for the EL Theater lot start? That 2-hour time limit, I just want to put it out there and say that that is going to be detrimental to Maui on Stage, to not only our staff, but to our patrons, to our volunteers, and to our community organizations that rent the EL Theater. That is, I don't know what the repercussions of that time limit is going to be for us. So I need to start preparing our patrons and our volunteers and our renters for this. When will that start?
Great question. So we actually still have to go before county council for the ordinances to be updated and approved. And this is actually the perfect time for me to ask Neil. Neil, if you have an estimated timeline for when we anticipate this going before the council, since we're right here at our hour, Neil, do you have an answer for the estimated time frame for when we anticipate the code going in for review?
Yeah, so just to clarify for you, for everyone, the ordinance that is being reviewed is for South Maui. It's 10.77.010, establishment of paid parking zones. And so that's going to happen in August. It will be the first reading with the committee, and then it has to go through council, basically two different readings. So that's going to take a while. As far as the time limit goes in the EL parking theater, because that is county property, that's something that we have to negotiate with DPW to get the signs up. Because remember, enforcement is by signage. I'm not sure how long that's going to take. So we're still working on that right now.
But I think the important part, Luana, is there will be ample notice, and I am going to suggest that there would be at least 30 days notification before there were any changes, as well as the warning period as well. So we will ensure that there is information sent out to the email distribution group for anybody that has their information registered in Wailuku. And we will obviously send out contact information to all of the local businesses, including the theater. We know that this is a big change for everyone, so we will make sure that there is adequate and ample notification for all of that to transpire. So anything else, Luana, tonight?
Nope. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate it. I just wanted to give everybody, we're right here at our 1 hour mark. Is there anyone else that wanted to raise their hands or ask a question here tonight?
I have one question in the chat from Megan.
Go ahead.
She is asking, should we contact our council member if we oppose the time limit on EL parking lot?
You are always welcome to contact your council members. I want to make sure everybody knows that, obviously. You're also welcome to send in your comments via the website or also at info at parkmaui.com. And Jackie, I see your hand going up. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to say to that question that it sounds like there's going to be at least one or two meetings between council and wherever it's going before council. So you'll have your chance to input there too. So I just wanted to pinpoint that for you.
Thank you for that. And Brenda, I saw your hand go up. If you wouldn't mind to unmute yourself. Oh, Brenda, can you hear us? Brenda, we can't hear your audio if you are speaking. Brenda, can you hear us? You made it this far and everybody's audio is working. Brenda, if we can't hear your audio, if you want to put a type of comment in the chat.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you, Brenda.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. I may have missed this earlier in your presentation. The employee parking permits and their neighborhood parking permits, is that something that is handled at the kiosk, or do you have?
You actually can go on the Park Maui website and you
Okay.
can click the link there and get yourself registered right there on the website.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Great. Yeah, thank you. So with that, we are right at our 1 hour mark. I just really want to, first of all, thank you all for coming tonight. We know that this impacts where you live and where you work and where you visit. So this is an important conversation. Parking, I like to say, touches everything. I really want to encourage everybody to, again, the Park Maui website, www.parkmaui.com. You can email us at info@parkmaui.com. And for those of you who had garage parking related issues, you can also directly email parkmaui@diamondparking.com. And you can also contact any of the parking ambassadors and ask if you can speak to a supervisor and they'll help get you connected as well. This recording, it'll take us just a few days to get it posted onto the Park Maui website, but we'll be sure that it's on the website so that you can obviously share this information with your friends and neighbors. And I just want to again thank you all for participating today. Thank you for the very thoughtful comments and questions. And everyone go have a great rest of your evening. And thank you
Yeah.
again for coming.
And
Oh,
yeah,
back to
thank
you,
you.
Neil.
Yeah, not a problem. I just wanted to recognize that we had a few people on our conversation today, and I wanted to recognize Senator Hashimoto and also Council Member Alice Lee's officer participating. And again, thank you for all your comments and for your questions. And definitely, once the recording is available, please send your friends and family members to the website if they weren't able to attend today. Again, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.